Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of the O.N.E.T.A show, brought to you by PT Creative. As always, I am your host, Evan Davies, and I'm rejoined once again with my best friend, Angelo Gonzalez, as we continue our Smash Bros. Project. And this time, as we record this video, my microphone is even on for the recording session. Because
look at him with a fully functional microphone.
I know, who would have thought? Who would have thought? And for those asking, we just recorded 10 to 15 minutes of this show without my microphone being recorded on OBS. So that's always fun. But that's neither here nor there. Last time on the show, we cut down the Smash Ultimate roster from 88 down to 40 for a rebooted Smash game. And instead of cutting this time, we are going to be adding new characters to the Smash roster that we personally would love to see. There are some that are Johnny Businessman, Johnny Microsoft, as my lovely co-host for the day was calling me last time, which
with the dollar signs.
With the dollar signs,
which reminds me,
specifically,
I need to bring I need to bring the paper cash out for next time you're being Johnny Businessman.
Oh, really?
Johnny Microsoft.
I appreciate that. So I will also be playing Johnny Businessman, Johnny Microsoft with the dollar signs once again in some instances, but there's a lot of instances you're going to actually get to see characters I like and think and believe in that would work in Smash Bros. And then the only other...
I know one I disagree with.
Great. I can't wait for that one. And I will say this. Outside of my tier maker list, which is giving some spoilers to the video listeners, or the video watchers, I should say, Angie's got his as well, and we're going to decide up to 16 for our additions. And we have two that we teased heavily last time that we will get to in the end, that we're Smash Ultimate characters, but we're going to be completely reformed in a way that they really became a new character. So, but we will put those at the end to kind of remind ourselves what we're thinking about and what we're doing. So without further ado, we will go to our first character up for debate. It is one of my favorite characters of all time because it's just me. Or you, or anyone else who plays The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, in my opinion, the greatest game of all time.
Do you mean Link?
No. No.
Is that who you're talking about?
Nah.
Oh,
not
weird.
Even
then
that.
who are you talking about?
I'm talking about
Isn't that the whole...
I'm talking about the Dragonborn from Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Grungy Link.
However, this was the coolest picture I could get, but not the best picture I could get for this tier list, probably, because it blends into the background quite a bit. However, one, I'll give you my pitch for Dragonborn right here and there. And my list is a little bit reordered than yours is, Angie, so you're seeing the original content part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dragonborn is just a phenomenal character, and really you could do a world of possibilities with the Dragonborn, even from a cosmetic standpoint, in that you could put 8 different races from Skyrim, all in different armor sets that kind of fit their character. So you could get a little bit more of that, like...
Sorry, I'm laughing because I can tell that you are starting off with a rebuttal to the complaint that I had in the last recording that got...
So I'm going to be honest, yanked. I don't know if I even remember that rebuttal because I just remember, like, I forgot that point. I need to say it. So I'm going to start with that one, though.
Yeah, good.
One, I think that Smash Bros., as we've seen, gets a lot of main characters that are like, you're always that character, you associate with that character. But there's not a lot of, or they go fighting game characters that are popular or villains, which is rare even for Smash Bros. But if you're thinking about, especially since I would say a couple years prior to Skyrim, and especially Skyrim forward, some of the biggest games that take over the community, or of the gaming community in general, is the open world RPG and the fantasy elements of customization, and Skyrim really hits that specifically. So that's why I was going to say, like, you could do 8 different races of the Dragonborn to represent some of the stuff that you have from a fantasy element of customization. With that, you have a lot of weapon choices with all the different moves that Smash now has, with the side moves, the specials, the normal attacks, all that kind of stuff. You can incorporate something that we said was a huge positive as to why we put Byleth in our final 40 from Fire Emblem was that the move set was very unique with all the different weapon choices. There's even more weapon choices you could put into Skyrim, which are really fun and really unique. I think you could even get a heavy element out of the Dragonborn if you wanted to, with some of the um, slower mechanics, such as a battle axe, such as a great sword, or just even some of the maces would work really well for that, which I think are really fun. And finally, I think it'd just be incredible to Fusro Da a player straight off the map as a final smash. I think that would be chef's kiss glorious. So that is my pitch. Elder Scrolls V,
um,
Skyrim, Dragonborn.
so I will say, I think the Skyrim Dragonborn, the Dovahkiin, doesn't excite me terribly much.
Okay.
When I think of a when I think of an open world RPG, with a self-insert character, um, the character that is on the box is rarely, if ever, the character that I end up identifying with.
Correct.
Like that character doesn't feel like me, the player, or like an avatar for it. When I think of Skyrim, I think of the open world. The world itself is the character and the point of interest that I think is like really vibrant and cool and worth capturing. So like when I'm imagining Dovahkiin as a character, I think of the characters that already exist and what niche, if any, is he able to fill. Because I think Byleth does the multi weapon thing very well.
Yes.
I think that Link does the like self insert character very well. Along with the like multi utility thing. I think that's a big part of what made Link cool in Smash One and Smash Melee is him being the like I've got I have a deep kit of utility
Sure.
where I can kind of pull anything at any moment. That part was cool. And when I see Dovahkiin, it feels like we're doing the same thing we did before, but now it's a dude. Now it's like a regular dude. Like
Interesting.
a I don't know. Just it's kind of like a human man. Whereas like when I think about like Link, he feels more vibrant. He feels more like a character, like a video game. Whereas like I don't know. There's a little bit of just what if you were a guy,
To
and
Dovahkiin.
that doesn't inspire, yeah, to Dovahkiin. It doesn't inspire that much excitement to me. Like I
Fair.
think that there's a way that you could make a I think there's a way to make a cool moveset for it.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
excitement wouldn't be because of the character. Because of like, oh, Dovahkiin.
Yeah.
Like I think that there's maybe a way to represent it, but I don't know. I was not terribly upset or offended when Dovahkiin got the me fighter treatment
I was, but that's a
in a
different story.
like yeah. But also I don't know. You're a mountain man who likes the ice and stuff. I feel like you probably do relate to like the title screen character more than a lot of other
No,
people
I
do.
really don't, because
I can see why that would.
I never play in that suit of armor for more than 20 minutes because it's like
Hmm.
I
And
get
also you play in first person.
yeah, I play in first person. I never play in third person, which is ironic that I love the
Hmm.
customization because I'm always in first person view anyways. And then I just
Hmm.
occasionally, when I'm like, that's got to be looking rad, I'll like do the third person, do the spin. That is in every video of Skyrim ever. But
God, yeah.
well, the only other thing is I will say that we touched on in the previous attempt to record on this is I think kind of to your idea of could you make a cool move set for it? I think that's possible. If
Hmm.
I were going to consider this truly for other players and not just my own selfish gain, I would say I would
Hmm.
love to be able to represent the modding community, which I think Skyrim is, if not the best, one of the best games to represent the modding community because like Bethesda refuses to make a new Elder Scrolls game because Skyrim just
Hmm.
continually is modded over and over and over and over again, and it's allowed them for almost 13 years to not make another Elder Scrolls game outside of ESO. And ESO compared to Skyrim, in my opinion, is absolute trash. So, like,
So real quick,
yeah,
if you go to nexusmods.com,
yeah,
the most modded game of all time is Skyrim Special Edition, and the second most modded game of all time is the original Skyrim.
Goddamn right it is, baby.
So yeah,
I
you,
mean,
you ain't wrong about mods.
and so
And
that's
I think
what.
modding mods would be really cool, but I would have to see how that would be implemented into the character
That's a
because
big
that
thing for
has a
me.
bunch of potential, but like how?
Well, exactly. I think that opens up a can of worms of if you're gonna open Smash up for mods, that's a whole different mindset that I wasn't even thinking about. But one of the things that we got into a lot that
I
even
would know a lot about that.
I'm sure you would. Um, I know how to download
Oh, you're not
mods
even.
off
That's
my
fine.
Xbox because I'm a chump. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say this is that now I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but we talked a lot about representation of gaming community. And that actually
Mm-hmm.
sold you a little bit on some of my more business centric pitches versus my like, oh, that character's just cool pitches. And that it's like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
representing certain aspects of the gaming community that aren't really represented as much, especially when it
Mm-hmm.
came to some of the fighting game characters. And I just think it would be pretty rad if we're going to keep going off the, which we did heavily. Smash Bros. Is the arbiter of gaming history and is just like the celebration of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really cool to get a mod representing character in the game. It's just, is Dovahkiin the right one to do it without the ability to actually mod it properly? And I could definitely see the argument that it's not. But selfishly, yes, I want the Dovahkiin so bad because I want to Fusroda Mario straight off the screen.
But Mario already has a Fusroda.
Mario wishes he had a Fusroda. Because it's also be
Flood?
cool.
Flood?
Flood is chump change compared to the Fusroda. Also,
Flood is
if you
basically the Fusroda, my guy.
don't do this to me right now, don't do this to me
Go
right
ahead, buddy.
now.
Go
But
ahead, buddy.
I also thought it could be just a cool, like, one thing I think Smash Bros. In general struggles with is sometimes it feels like they don't connect a lot of dots with the character because they do so much digging for some of the inspiration behind the moves that they feel like they don't have to almost. Where like I think it'd be really cool as a stun move for the Dovahkiin to be able to just go foos and you can stun them like the initial first learning of it, and then when you earn the final smash, it's like, oh, you actually know how to use a dragon shout now. You actually know how to use a
Mm-hmm.
Thoom, and then you can do the full Fusroda square off the
Mm-hmm.
off the map. So I think that'd be
Mm-hmm.
a fun little nugget of gameplay for me, but I understand if it's not.
That's a cool idea. I like that concept.
Yeah. Um, but
So
you personally,
I will
where
say for me, if I was looking at this tier list, Dovahkiin would be in the toss-up category.
I thought toss up would probably be fair.
Um, yeah, I'm not against Dovahkiin. Like I think that like he he could totally work and he could be
Sure.
totally fine, but he would be a middle of the pack new addition. I'd be excited in the sense that like Skyrim is one of the greatest games ever made, and having
Yes.
that represented in Smash is cool. But
Yes.
like the character is it's just he's just dude.
Yes. And before I forget it, I already moved him to toss up. I agree with toss up.
Mm-hmm.
I think people do not realize how important Skyrim actually is for Nintendo 2017 onward. And
Curious about that.
so my thing was, do you remember the first time they did a Switch announcement trailer?
They did a what?
The Switch announcement trailer, the first one they ever did that actually had gameplay or actually showed like things you could do. The first game
Mm-hmm.
and the game that they showed by far the most was actually Skyrim. And it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like it was the status of like, look, you can play Skyrim on our console. We're just like everybody else. You can play these
Yeah.
powerful big games on our console. But it was the thing of showing
Mm-hmm.
like, no, this isn't just the Mario console anymore. Like we're
Yeah.
opening ourselves up to we're back in the days of GameCube, Xbox, PlayStation, where although there is starting to be delineation, like no, we have big AAA games that are not just Nintendo
Mm-hmm.
games now. And it was that ability that showed that
Mm-hmm.
the Switch was not just, hey, Wii U Plus. Like this is a real console where you can do real shit on our console. So I do think that was if the major game of your first trailer is also like, hey, look at all the cool shit you can do in Skyrim. It's like, nah, it's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. There's a great way to sell me on it.
So that I believe. I'm a little conflicted on that only because like that has not turned out to be true.
Yes,
There
I
are a
know.
bunch of third-party games that don't come to the Switch, and also when the Switch came out, Skyrim was already like 5 years old or something like that.
How dare you? It
So
was
like,
already 6 years old. Okay.
sorry, 6 years old. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate the correction. Um, so like, I will say the mystique of that did not sell me. I feel like the Steam Deck is what got me excited about that in a similar sense.
Okay.
Of like, oh, the Steam Deck. I feel like the Steam Deck is like cashing the check that Nintendo wrote. Of like, this is what the Switch is going to be able to do, and the Steam Deck said like, well, check this out. We're actually doing that. Like all of the new games that are coming out, you can play on this.
Fair.
And like, whatever. I don't want to turn this into a Steam Deck versus Switch thing. More of a like, that was also really exciting. Steam Deck's cool.
Yes.
That will be how we represent modding. You can play as the Steam Deck in the next Smash Bros. Boom, done.
Okay. Also, we didn't really share our numbers yet. So we have the Dovahkiin in toss-up.
Yeah.
But because the sheer numbers I've included versus the sheer numbers you included, if you have 12, now with the 2 additional ones that we talked about last time, I have 24. So I'll do 2 at a time, then you go 1 at a time, just so math works out properly and there's balance. So I will go.
Sure.
Okay. I'll go to my next character on my list. That would be the great Dr. That would be the great Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. One, we talked about this problem before. Skyrim needs more heavies. Dr. Robotnik, certainly a heavy base character.
He's a big man.
You could get some of the cool things about Bowser Jr. that we liked, you could get back in the game with a Dr. Robotnik, from the standpoint of he could be in his little like mech cruiser that he kind of floats through all the levels in, and he could have the drill attacks or other things that he has in those games to play as. But then you could also get like almost a pseudo version of what Samus and Zero Suit Samus was back in the day, in which you can damage the tank so much or the mech so much or the floating mech so much that he would pop out and then just be a straight up heavy character. Or you could do a transitional of the two where just some moves he has that. I think that could be really fun. It also solves another problem, which is Smash Bros does not have enough villains in my opinion. I think you need more villains for Smash Bros as well, and Dr. Robotnik is an iconic gaming villain. And I just think the comedy aspects, but also the nefarious aspects, give a lot of fun moveset ideas as well. So that's why I would pitch Dr. Robotnik as my character.
I'd like to strike a deal with you.
Okay.
We put him in on one condition.
What is your one condition?
You gotta call him Eggman.
I can't.
You can't call him Dr. Robotnik. Robotnik? That does not roll off the tongue in the slightest. Eggman.
Here's my problem.
He's the Eggman.
Eggman is not actually his name. Dr. Robotnik is his actual name. It bothers me to no end. Way. I hate the fact that everyone calls him Eggman and he's actually Dr. Robotnik.
But it's a better name. If you go to the Sonic Wiki Zone fandom page,
oh my god, why
you will see that he is Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. That's Dr. Eggman. He's Dr. Eggs.
Okay, if it just gets me a character that I want and it'll shut you up as well, fine. Fuck it. We can call him Eggman.
Oh yeah. Put him in.
All right.
Perfect.
So I'm going to transition over here. Dr. Robotnik is officially part of our game. What about Dr. Robotnik kind of excites you, I guess, as a potential player?
He's a cool freaky little guy. I think that him having that robot aspect legitimately opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
I think a little bit about Mega Man when I think about Dr. Robotnik.
Interesting.
And I think about Dr. Wily when I think about Mr. Egg, the Eggman, the Man of Egg.
Sure.
Having that as a character, I think could create a bunch of fun mix-ups. They've already done some stuff with robots before. I think the Bowser Juniors, the Robs, but his size and physicality feels like it would be more of a hybrid type character.
Yes.
So it would be someone who could do stuff physically himself, but also like has this robot component that adds like that could add a lot of mix-ups.
Yeah.
Basically, like I think there's a ton of potential for the character. I also am generally a fan of like mustache twirling villains as a concept.
Respect.
That's just it's fun. I think there's a lot of good comedy and like comedy through gameplay potential of like something like a not to the same extent, but like a Wario. Like
Yes.
that's one of the things that makes Wario so fun is that like he's just so over the top insane. There's
Yeah.
room for that with something like Robotnik. And
Yes.
yeah, I'm totally in on it. Cartoony, fun, ludic, great stuff.
Yeah. I also love the idea that he's been in so many um, subpar Sonic spin-off games that he has a lot of moveset possibilities because he's been in like Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympics and like crazy stupid stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you just need a basic move that's funny but also gets the job done, you can pull from crazy stuff like that as well. So I think Dr. Robotnik
Pinball,
is a great choice.
Eggman.
All right. Well, I'm glad I got one of my first two in. Those were probably, I'm not gonna lie, outside of maybe a few others, Doctor Robotnik was like I gotta get Robotnik in somehow. I'm sorry, I gotta get Eggman in somehow.
Have Thank you, Eggman, because
Yes.
Dr. Robotnik is not in this game. Eggman though. I do have an important question.
Yes.
Have you interacted with the Mean Bean Machine?
I have not interacted with the Mean Bean Machine. I know of it though. I know what it is, but
Got it. That's fine. Character inspiration.
yes.
There's a lot of ideas to mine there.
Also, I did a lot of research prior to us doing it, going through old clips of all the characters I was going to suggest as much as I possibly could before today, of being like, oh, what could they
Mhm.
pull from? When I saw that, I was like, you gotta pull at least one move from Mean Bean Machine, just because
You gotta do the Mean Bean.
because when someone does a Smash specific like video where they're like, this is the inspiration behind Dr. Robotnik's moveset or Eggman's moveset, and it goes to
so good.
Mean Bean Machine, you're just like, what the hell? Like, what the like, why?
I conceptually love that stuff.
Alrighty.
I will say,
Go ahead.
as we're moving over to my side of the tier list, I had the ones I was going to share
Yeah.
prepared in a specific order.
Okay.
But now that I'm seeing what you're doing, I almost feel like I should go a little bit more extreme at the start.
Yeah, go for it.
You know what we're gonna do? We are going to start off
Alrighty.
representing. See, now it's interesting because I'm realizing I have like a hidden hand. I can choose what to show and what not to show.
Meanwhile,
You know what? I'm gonna pick the one. You just went bleh.
Yep.
Threw it on top.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pick one that we have overlap on,
Okay.
so that we can be in agreement. You ready?
Yes.
Boom. There he is. It's Mr. Shuff. Mr. Shuff is absolutely in the Dr. Money category.
Yes.
Dr. Money is the category of, yeah, we should do that because we're gonna get a bunch of money from making this video game.
Absolutely.
If you put Mr. Shuff in Super Smash Brothers, you can make that a skin for Solid Snake, and people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But you would get $1 billion from everyone who played Halo 3 and spent like the next 8 to 10 years of their life just going home, getting bullied at high school, getting on the Xbox, playing Halo 3, and then getting bullied on mic. Like there's just a full generation of grown adult men who are making like 5 and 6 figure salaries now who want to put their money into, man, remember Mr. Chef? That was so fun. I want to get bullied again.
I mean,
they can do it here.
You just explained the millennial existence and the love of Halo and what we're pining for the last almost 20 years now. Jesus Christ. Like,
yes,
all into that soliloquy you just had. I like the funny part is Master Chief is not one of my biggest like needs, but I definitely think if I'm gonna go put my Johnny Microsoft hat on with the dollar signs, mind you, with the dollar signs, I think inherently Master Chief should at least be getting heavy consideration. I also think the moveset could be really cool, and Chief could play like Snake doesn't really play as a heavy, but he's got some heavy elements to him. I think you can.
Got some real heavy elements to him.
Yeah, but I think you could definitely make. You definitely could make Master Chief like super heavy, technically, if you really wanted
I
to.
think, especially like when I'm thinking about something you brought up earlier with the Dovahkiin was like the weapon armory and the moveset stuff. Like, I think of that so much more strongly with someone like Master Chief because so much of the Halo play style is based upon the armament. And like just thinking about that. Thinking about having the energy sword. Thinking
Yeah.
about like the brute hammer, thinking like all of those things like there are totally cool things like I I can see the Master Chief getting blown off the side of the thing and then him like pulling out the energy sword and doing like the lunge with the energy sword back onto the stage and like
Yeah.
just doinking someone from this like, that sounds so cool. And like
Yeah,
I
it
think
does.
similar to you, I'm not like personally I need Mr. Chef in this game. But
I like how you even
who
refuse
does
to.
need Mr. Chef in this game?
I like how you refuse to even use the character's actual name. You're just like Mr. Chef, Mr. Chef.
I mean, if you look at the file name in the bottom left, it does say Mr. Chef.
Oh my god.
I don't need Mr. Chef in the game, but you know who does need Mr. Chef?
The internet.
Dr. Money. Dr. Money wants Mr. Chef in this game because if you do that, then every Microsoft person, every person who was upset that freaking Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was not the game they wanted it to be, I'm so mad at them still. They can get their Microsoft boner from this instead. God. It's such a good game. It's way better than any of the other Banjo-Kazooie games as someone who likes Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was Kerbal Space Program before Kerbal Space Program. Do you know how much The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom owes to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts? Do you even understand that? The people... I believe it's your turn.
No, please keep going. This is amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. The building stuff. Everything that Tears of Kingdom is, like all that stuff, everyone's like, wow, this is really cool. Banjo-Kazooie did it first. Nuts and Bolts, baby. There's a level in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts where you go inside your Xbox. You like interact with the graphics card, like the GPU, and like the sound chip, and if you run your car into it, the like visual effects get all glitchy, and the sound gets all like.
Interesting.
If you like hit the sound, it's so good. Oh, we gotta take Banjo-Kazooie out. Was he on our list?
he did not make the final 40.
Okay, good. We're gonna replace him with the car from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. It's a better representative. It's a better video game. It's the best video game. I believe you're up next, sir.
So, I want to make this clear before I continue my characters. You and I have been friends for almost a decade now. Although I have heard...
It's crazy to think about.
Yes. But...
Sorry, continue.
Although I have heard that you love Nuts and Bolts as a game, and you will fight anyone who says it's not the best representation of Banjo-Kazooie, I have never heard that impassioned of a speech. And for both my own personal enjoyment, but also the creator that wants to have good shit on his channel, like, I am so happy I got that entire impassioned speech in this podcast.
As long as you're recording our mics, hopefully.
I was always recording you. I wasn't always recording me. But in that moment, I didn't matter. All that mattered about me, from my mic standpoint, was you were hearing me laugh as you were just going off about, oh, you fucking idiots who don't want to go into Nuts and Bolts. Like,
I did not swear.
You're
I
right.
think
You didn't.
I might have sworn. I don't remember.
You actually didn't. I'll give you that. You have restraint, and I've been showing too much restraint, in my opinion, on my channel for over a year. So now I'm like, no,
I feel like
I'm letting it fly. Like, I don't care.
If I had to describe what that rant that I just did was, restraint is absolutely the word I would use.
Yes,
I was a very restrained, logical.
because if this was
Yes.
not being recorded for the internet, I know for a fact there'd be far more expletives and far more insanity in that rant.
Ooh. Oh, your voice cut out. You still there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, bro.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
good.
All right.
Alrighty, so
You're good, brah. Brah, brah.
because
Cut.
we don't necessarily want him, do we want to put the chief in outside looking in as a heavy contender, or do we want to go straight to he's in?
Let's say outside looking in. He's a heavy
Okay,
contender.
it's fair.
Doctor Money would like him to be in there, but also I'm not Doctor Money.
That's kind of where I'm like, I really appreciated when we were talking last time that you're like, hey, we can just do fun things for fun things' sake. And I was like, that's also true. I don't have to
Yeah,
be Johnny Businessman. But
yeah.
I also want it to be somewhat realistic so it's not like someone, like, all due respect, because I don't know what you're putting in. I'm never
I
gonna
got some
have
good ones.
I'm never gonna have Phoenix Wright, an attorney, as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a population of people in the internet that think that'd be a great Smash character and want that. I don't even know how you make that work in this game. I know nothing about that
Do you know that
series.
he's in a fighting game?
Yes, I do know that. What is it? Marvel
Yeah.
Capcom? Um,
Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
yeah, and
He's
like
got a really cool mechanic where during the fight he has to find evidence, and if he finds enough evidence, he can like solve the court case. It's pretty sick.
interesting.
But also, I hear you.
Like also that's the other thing is when they're represented as kind of like a weird rep in another game, it almost kind of throws me off a little bit where I'm like, hey, the novelty of the character's kind of gone, and all you get is like, well, could you do it better? And you're like, I don't know, especially in a game that's so like unique as Smash is. Alrighty,
Yeah.
let me pull up this here list here. My next
See this here.
entrant is definitely for our boy Kyle and myself. I'm voting for Waluigi, and I'm fighting hard for Waluigi. Waluigi is someone who I think has been
There he is.
should never have been shunned as much as he has. You've told me the fable as to why Waluigi will never be in Smash as a playable character. The funny part is, I'm probably going to take away part of my argument for Daisy with Waluigi, but I think Waluigi would be a great character for all the Mario side game representation. Plus, I want to. I think no other character, because we've been talking about Johnny Microsoft with the dollar signs. I think no other
Mm-hmm.
character could personify capitalism in this game in the best ways possible from a fighting game standpoint better than Waluigi. I want to kind of get
Mm.
corporate suit Waluigi that doesn't really exist, but just put the rose in his mouth so it's accurate. And I want Waluigi to be the personification of the evil capitalist in Smash Bros. Also, I have to give credit to another creator on this one. Waluigi's already kind of a Frankenstein character in Mario in general because it's just like he's Luigi, but he's Wario, and he's slowly but surely adopted his own kind of personality. But at the same time, like Waluigi's like also hits that cult status, which I really like in this style of character edition.
Mm-hmm.
That I just think is really unique and really fun. Um, God, I just had a great point and I forgot it. Son of a bitch. But I just think that like he can represent so many games, is so much fun. Oh, here it is. There is in my research a creator that I've watched in the past that I really like, and I would highly suggest anyone go watch. Aaron Nitmar on YouTube. He did "What if Waluigi was in Smash?" essentially, and
Mm-hmm.
on the Frankenstein element, he suggested. Do you remember Luigi's final Smash from Brawl?
Remind me.
It's like he's dancing in a circle and a big orb of energy kind of just like takes over the vast majority of the stage, and you're kind of like, if you're being attacked by it, you're kind of just like stunned and you're stuck until you get attacked, and you just are gaining little bits of damage, like not a ton but a little
I
bit from
vaguely
that.
remember that, yeah.
So I didn't know this because that game came out when I was either 8th grader or freshman in high school when I didn't own a Wii.
Mm-hmm.
That Brawl, or no, maybe it was a little bit older than that, but whatever. But when Brawl came out and the Final Smashes came through, that move that I think you're looking up called Negative Zone apparently is supposed to be like
Yeah.
all the negative energy Luigi has is envy because he's always been the number 2 character. Like that was like Aaron Nitmar's take on it, and I was like, that's ingenious for Waluigi to be the Frankenstein character of just like getting a bunch of other stuff together, making it his own as Johnny Microsoft in Smash Bros, and then just being like, and I'm going to take out all of my envy of never making this game in it as kind of like just a wink and a nod from a development team to go, we know, here you go. And he's like a living troll character, which I think outside of Duck Hunt, there isn't another really great like troll character, and I'm always down to add another troll character. So that's why I was like, Waluigi, I have to fight for.
As someone who is a big Wario fan,
Yes.
I am not mad about Waluigi being in this.
Hell yeah.
I do feel I need to call out because I'm doing a little bit of organization.
Yes.
On your tier list, and looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of these fighters are already Mii costumes.
Yes.
Or assist trophies.
Yes.
Including Waluigi.
Yes.
So, I guess in the spirit of newcomer as a concept,
yeah,
how do we feel about moving forward with this tier list? We save those ones for the end, and we can do a little bit more rapid fire on those ones, so that we can have some conversation about some of the more like out there picks.
Sure, that's fine.
I say that alongside saying like, yeah, Waluigi's great. Waluigi's an absolute shitheel.
Only because we talked about him.
I want more shitheels.
Where do you want to put Waluigi? And then we'll go back to we'll use that idea moving forward.
I want to hear yours first. Where would you put him?
I mean, selfishly, I want him a new edition immediately. Plus, I know for a fact, even though Kyle cannot hear this until tomorrow when I release this video, that if I do not put it in, Kyle will find both of us and give us both a strongly worded letter and a disappointing face and also a sad face. And I can't do that to our boy. I just can't. And he's going to make his debut on the channel pretty soon. So, like,
I would love to receive a strongly worded letter from Kyle just because I love corresponding with him.
Yes.
He's a great dude.
Yeah.
And any opportunity to talk to him more, very much celebrated. But because of that love for corresponding with Kyle, we should put him in.
Yeah! Let's go. Waluigi.
New edition, Waluigi. One of the skins for Waluigi is just a 3D scan of Kyle's body and face.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Superimposed upon Waluigi. Okay,
it has to be. Good. It has to be. You can't do anything else. And if people don't know Kyle, that's their problem. That's not ours.
Yeah, that's their problem. We can update the wiki. We will modify the wiki to say like, oh, like costume 7 is a reference to Kyle, Evan and Angelo's friend, and they can parse that out themselves.
It's kind of like how you were the baby when you officially looked up baby on Wikipedia.
I was the baby.
Yeah.
Ooh, see, then Kyle could be the Waluigi.
We just slowly proliferate taking over Wikipedia one article at a time.
One stupid JPEG at a time.
Yeah.
One stupidly photoshopped putting Kyle's face on Waluigi JPEG at a time.
Yeah. It has to be done. The internet needs this, Angela. The internet needs this.
I think the internet needs this.
All right. So in that spirit, then I am gonna go. I'm just doing some math. If 8 of mine are like that somehow, some way, anyways, let's just screw it. I'll do another one and then you go for it and we'll just play it by ear and have some fun with it. So my next character, this was for you and who I would have picked as a Castlevania rep instead of Simon. I went with Alucard. And I'm going to be honest. He's just cool. I know nothing about Alucard outside of some clips of it.
Hold on. Evan.
Yes.
He is one of the 8. Because he's an assist trophy.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that. Forgot Alucard made the game. Oh, shit. My bad, dog.
Yeah.
He's your boy. Go ahead and talk about it. I already did enough. Go ahead.
He is my boy. Nah, Alucard's sick. He's Dracula backwards. What if Dracula was backwards and he was like a cool, like, I don't know, what's the term for that? Like a
Anti-hero.
vampire twink. Oh
Interesting.
yeah, that's what I said. No, that's yeah, you're right. That's what I said.
Why? Okay. As someone who knows nothing, I threw this in just to make sure that this is who I think, if they were going to do a Castlevania rep, should be there. I think Alucard. It was the standard that I used last time. If I know nothing about you, and I know that, that says something about the character or says something about the franchise. Outside of watching like 5 minutes of you play Symphony of the Night, it's like Alucard is definitely like the Castlevania character.
If you wanted like an actual impassioned argument for Alucard, like I think part of what makes him cool is one, baseline, he's a goddamn vampire. That's rad.
Yep.
Two, he's a representative of like the, not technically the first, but like kind of the first of a long branching genre of games. Like Metroidvania comes from this.
Yeah.
Like Metroid was obviously like a big aspect of that, but like Symphony of the Night was kind of the like, I would say, popularization of the Metroidvania like genre. Metroid's good. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is goddamn incredible.
Yep.
I think that like something that is cool with him as could be represented in a Smash character is that he has like a bunch of really nifty, neat abilities.
Okay.
So like for example, he can turn into a bat. That is something vampires do.
Yes.
He can also turn into a wolf.
Also something
that could be
do.
conceptually
Specifically
cool.
Dracula.
Yes, he can also turn into fog. And like one of the like things that will happen is like he will go into mist form.
Yeah.
Yes. And like he's Dracula backwards, baby. Like there's a bunch of cool stuff with that. I think the RPG elements, like I almost feel like the Dovahkiin argument, like I would apply on like Alucard, because a big aspect of what made like Symphony of the Night so cool was that RPG stuff.
Yeah.
The weird things of like, oh, like you could learn all these weird magic spells and like drop them on enemies. You could learn like you could pick up these 70 different weapon types that all attack totally differently. And like there's a bunch of expansiveness to the moveset of the character.
Yeah.
Alongside him just being a cool dude. Like, hold on, I'm gonna do my best impression. You ready?
In your blurred out one. Interesting.
He walks like this.
I don't know if that says cool
like
dude, but you know, if it does for you.
He's got like a real big stomp. There's a real big stomp to it.
Interesting.
Where like it feels weighty. Like the animation, he's animated well. Like I should look at the Smash Ultimate animations for the 3D model of Alucard.
Yeah.
Because I bet they totally captured that. Because that is like they
That's
are
what they
dudes.
do well. That's what they do well.
Exactly.
Is attention to detail, bringing out those elements that nobody thinks about, and you're like, God, that just hits well. That's what they do well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would let you lead the way. Where do you think we should put Alucard? Because I already said I put this one in strictly so we could talk for you, and the only reason I have it is far more business representing another franchise. It's not because I'm like, gotta have Alucard.
Yeah. Personally, I would put Alucard in over most other characters because I think Alucard is sick as hell. But I feel like in the spirit of I want new stuff in this game, I would throw him in the. I guess they could do that.
Interesting.
Like,
okay.
We already saw him. We saw him. He's a spirit trophy or assist trophy or whatever.
Alrighty. Hey, I respect the honesty about that. We'll put in. I guess they could do that because I was gonna go probably toss up, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Now I got to remember which one of my characters were in the game already somehow.
So I've got it. I got it organized here.
Okay.
So we've got Doom Guy, Gino, Toad and Toadette, Monster Hunter, Shovel Knight, Dovahkiin, Waluigi, Alucard.
Okay.
All of those were like in the base game.
They're in
I
somehow.
believe it is assist trophy, me fighter, assist trophy, me fighter, me fighter. He's like the special move for Peach.
Yeah.
We've got me fighter, and then I think that's all of them.
Yeah, and
I don't know if Dixie Kong is in the same way, but
and Shovel Knight also I believe is an assist trophy as well.
He isn't. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Alrighty, you're up. Go for it.
Okay. So I gotta look at my list and see who's coming in next. Um, you know what? I'm going to do one that I just, when I was thinking about it, was genuinely really excited about the possibilities.
Oh God.
Next on my list is in the wacky and wild category. Your friend and mine, Baba.
What the hell is
This
that?
is Baba from the Baba Is You series. Baba Is You is one of the coolest, most creative out there indie games that has come out in the past, like, I don't know, probably 10 years. And it is a game all about manipulating the world and the rules that exist within it. And
Okay.
there is so much potential in a Mr. Game and Watch sense for Baba from the Baba Is You series to be represented. So I think what specifically excites me about the idea of Baba is that the whole foundation of the character is that you break the rules of the world. You
Okay.
play with the rules of the world.
I'm
I don't know if
actively
you've
looking
ever
it up,
played
by the
Baba
way.
Is You.
I've never
Yeah,
heard of this
you should
goddamn
look
game
up Baba
until you
Is You.
just said it. Okay.
It's extremely popular. But knowing how the Smash team implemented Mr. Game and Watch,
Yeah.
and knowing how they implemented Minecraft Steve
Yes.
tells me that they have the stuff necessary to implement something like Baba Is You in a way that could be genuinely really interesting, crazy, out there, and exciting. Like what I'm thinking about the idea of like just manipulating the rules and the very foundation of the world, having some kind of move that's like, let's say like a final smash, and the final smash for the character is that like they turn off jumps. They like take the like up is jump and they just push is out, and then no one else other than your character can jump now. Like for the next 15 seconds. How just foundationally just like mind bending is that? How cool could that be?
That is a really unique
There's
concept that would
so
drive me
much
insane.
potential.
Okay.
Yes, and that's perfect. Imagine doing 8-player Smash and everyone is Baba and the rules are changed. Oh god. The the creative spirit, the creative heart
Yeah.
at the foundation of all of this feels like Baba is
Uh oh. Uh oh. Uh oh.
wired character they could add.
Okay. You went. You went.
Alongside that,
You went dark for a second. Please repeat the last 5 seconds.
um, I think Baba would be probably the most inspired character they could add to the game.
Okay.
I think that the element of representing, um, like an independent rep of kind of putting a spotlight on and celebrating one of the like best and most out there like indie games to come out
Yeah.
in the past 10 years, and that is genuinely doing something like interesting and new, unlike a lot of people had seen before, and also doing it really well, and also being really successful with it. Like, Baba does not need to be in Smash in order to be big because Baba Is You has already sold a bunch. It's already doing very, very well.
Okay.
But to represent that in the game space, there's infinite potential. Infinite potential.
I.
In a way that like Mr. Chef like would be awesome because he has a vast arsenal and like guns and stuff. Baba could be anything. And like, oh, I'm thinking of the Game and Watch, Minecraft Steve, Duck Hunt overlap of messing with opponents in tricksy, creative ways, and it's just so good, so good.
Fair. I mean,
Baba is in.
okay, so you're already going Baba
Baba
has to
is
be.
in.
Is this your passion
No,
project?
no. I'm not. No. See, that's not what I'm saying. Let me see if there's a Baba Is You maker
Oh god.
online. Baba Is You maker.
Oh god.
That's not gonna do it. Hold on, I can make this happen. Are you ready?
Of course
It's
you
gonna
can.
blow your mind.
It's gonna blow my mind, huh?
This is gonna blow your mind. Yep, this is the one that I need. All right. You ready for this?
Sure. Why not?
See that?
Mm-hmm.
What's that say?
You.
No, look what's over it.
I can barely read that. I just see Baba is you, and then I see the game designer, and I don't even see what's in the top left corner.
What does this look like?
A big in
Here.
for LinkedIn.
See it? There it is. Baba is in.
We still see Baba is you, but you do you, bro.
Oh, dang, you can't see the overlap thing. That's fine.
But
Baba is.
There you
in.
go. Okay, there we go. We're getting the picture.
There it is.
I'm really happy that was okay. So I gotta ask you: Is Baba like your most inspired creative choice? Is this the one you're like, I gotta
no.
do? Oh God.
It is what I think would be the most inspired creative moveset.
Okay.
But there are other ideas in here that I think are similarly awesome and representative.
Okay. So I will say this.
How do I do that?
I love the passion and the enthusiasm of it, and I do like the idea. I loved when you brought up, what if you just changed rules for 15 seconds? I kind of dug that idea.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how I feel about it compared to other characters. Does that make sense?
Oh, it's so much better than other characters.
I know, and I understand that. So that's
do
why
you see my screen?
I would heavily consider it outside looking in. Because if I didn't even give the Chief the full in yet, I don't know if I can give Baba, which I just heard about 10 minutes ago, as like a full in.
That's fine. I'm convinced that like it should make the cut.
Okay.
But I'm happy with outside looking in.
Okay, so we got Master Chief and Baba. Okay, so I am going to break the rule that we just set for me, simply because it kind of goes off of that.
You just broke the rule twice in a row.
I didn't know about Alucard. I forgot about him. That was a different story.
Go ahead, buddy.
The reason I'm going to break it is this. You brought up in Baba, the really important thing is it's an indie game rep. One of the reasons I have Shovel Knight on here is he's kind of like the OG indie game mascot to a degree, where it's like one of the first like big indie games of the modern era where you go, oh shit, like indie games can just be like fucking rad. We don't need AAA titles to just survive. Like indie titles are no longer that thing.
Shovel Knight was essentially, what if Mega Man was good again?
Kind of.
And then Shovel Knight came along and it was like, oh, there you go. Now we know. What if Mega Man was good again?
And so I think that's why like I'm always of the opinion that if there is potential there and you really like a character, I don't care if they're a me or an assist trophy or anything else. If there's great potential there and there's also great impact there, they should be heavily considered for the game. So that's why I was going to say I'm going to break the rule intentionally this time, as opposed to Alucard that I completely forgot was in the goddamn game, and say like Shovel Knight. I also just think Shovel Knight has an interesting weapon and has an interesting moveset then possible with all the jump attacks, with just the shovel basis as well. You could also get kind of a villager-esque kind of thing going with the digging aspect of it and maybe burying some stuff or doing some other things as well. So I think it's an interesting moveset to have. How do you feel about Shovel Knight though?
Shovel Knight's great. I love that game. Love that character. I think that something that could be potentially cool with Shovel Knight is that he also, as you play the game, gets a bunch of different power-ups that are based on the other knights that you fight.
Yeah.
Like Spectre Knight and whatever, all the other knights. I think that having those as some of the special ability powers could be fun and opens up a lot of potential for mix-ups with the character.
Yeah.
I think that of all of the characters on this list, Shovel Knight would be high in terms of potential for being super cool.
Yeah.
The only thing that like in terms of like conversation about him is like he's in the game. You could do your little me costume, and whatever. That's not the most exciting like version of it or anything anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Shovel Knight. In support of we have a lot of great options that are coming up. I'd put him in outside looking in.
Yeah.
As we're talking about it, I feel like the only one that's a guaranteed new addition in my mind right now is Waluigi, and that's because we love Kyle.
I was gonna say, to me, a guarantee is definitely Eggman, though. He was our first, and I think we both agreed heavily on that one too. So
we shook on it. We shook on it.
So okay, let's go. I would say Shovel Knight from that assessment is an outside looking in style character, personally, but
I missed what you said at the end there. One more time.
I'm gonna say Shovel Knight's probably an outside looking in style character.
Yep, agreed.
All right, Shovel Knight heading up to outside looking in. Okay. And now I'm going to intentionally pick one that I know for a fact is not in the game. This one I feel just to get out of the way, because this is where this is strictly Johnny Microsoft with the dollar signs. I have no affection for the series. I don't like it. It's not my thing. All due respect to people do. I've got Jonesy from Fortnite. I know very little about the game. I just know it's incredibly popular and still makes money.
If you're going to pick Fortnite, why didn't you pick Peter Griffin?
Because he's not a video game character. Video game characters only.
Have you seen Fortnite?
Shut up. Stop. Don't.
Have you seen Fortnite?
Stop being Mr. Chaos.
You know who's in there?
Peter Griffin. I'm well aware.
You know who's in there? Peter Griffin. And you know who's more popular than Jonesy?
Peter Griffin. I'm aware. They've also done every Marvel crossover possible, every DC crossover possible. Pretty much any crossover possible, Fortnite is kind of done.
I will say, like, I think genuinely, the guy from Fortnite is probably one of the most boring additions we could make. I would be very against it, because I don't even think that, like, people who like Fortnite like it because of Mr. Fortnite.
Yes.
Like, they like it because of the banana costume, and you could play as Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
Like, I think the things that actually make because Fortnite, as someone who hasn't played it, seems like a legitimately really awesome game. Like, it seems like what's that movie, Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of the video game version of Ready Player One. Like,
yes.
What Fortnite is doing almost feels like a more perverted version of, like, what Smash Brothers is trying to do.
Yeah.
Whereas Smash Brothers has, like, a very clear vision of, like, we want a video game oriented celebration.
Yeah.
Like, Fortnite becomes the, like, what if we didn't care about video games specifically, and cared about, like, just the giantest multimedia conglomeration that we could find. And, like, that all seems really cool. I don't care about Jonesy.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know his name was Jonesy until you said it 6 seconds ago.
I had to do some research.
If I keep repeating the name, if there's a reason I keep repeating the name, it's because, like, I want it to not fall out the other ear, because I will forget that their character's name is Jonesy by the end of this conversation. I would say nah.
Thank you.
Just because there's way cooler things to represent here. Cool. Yeah, get out of here, Jonesy. Fortnite's great. Fortnite seems great. I don't know. Just not here.
So I'll be on the other side. Fuck Fortnite. I don't care less. I'll give you the same thing I tell all my kids when they tell me, I love video games. Like, oh, what do you play? Fortnite? I'm like, Fortnite's a dumpster fire. Okay? Get wrecked. Do I truly know that from playing it?
You play Peter Griffin.
I don't believe in any game that subsists off of microtransactions. I don't believe in any game like that. So
doesn't the new Halo? Does the new Halo do that?
I don't play the new Halo because of it. And the fact that Halo kind of sucks now.
Ooh, get him, yeah.
I mean, think about it though. That's
up
why.
Here, up high, get him.
Okay, if this was 2007, would it even be a discussion if Master Chief was in the game from this aspect of us? Would we even have a discussion? No, we'd probably be going, yo, what if we get the Arbiter in? And what's the Colonel's name?
Yeah.
That has the
we like aliens.
There's an argument that, like, Cortana could make it. Even the Sarge could make it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how popular and big Halo was. And now it's like Chief's icon status truly is just running off of kind of good to mediocre or subpar games now. And so, like, if I'm not even
your mic is cutting out a bunch. I missed the last 5 seconds.
Sorry about that, but
sorry, I missed the last, like, 5 seconds what you said. But I feel like the main takeaway was Halo's bad now.
Halo is just mediocre now, you know. And it's one of those where
You still there?
yes, am I still there for you right
Your mic is
now?
cutting out a ton.
I am sorry to hear that because it's recording on my end. So let me.
You are currently still here.
Great.
As long as it's recording, it's fine. My main takeaway is Halo is bad.
Yeah.
Halo is bad, and it was never good, and that's what you're saying.
That is not what I'm
Okay.
saying in the slightest. But
So, am I up?
you are. Yeah, go for it. I don't care. Go for it.
Okay. Uh, all right. So, I feel like in the interest of, so my last one was Baba, and my first one was Mr. Chef. Um, I could, you know what?
Also,
In the interest of synergy,
oh God.
I'm going to throw a character in there in the interest of synergizing with your list, and it is it is the Nemesis.
What the hell is that?
So, you know the Nemesis, Resident Evil 3.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Uh, he goes into the faves for gamers category. So Nemesis is cool as hell.
Okay.
Nemesis is out there,
That's
and I
true.
feel like it is probably, I think, one of the more iconic video game designs that doesn't also fall into the bucket of like just everybody knows it. Like,
Yeah.
I think about like Leon Kennedy. Leon Kennedy is cool, and I mentioned it because like Leon's also on yours, and
Yes.
we're gonna have some talk about him as well. Um, but like, I think that Nemesis is like a designed character, if that makes sense. Like, it falls into the villain conversation of like, let's capture something that is like um genuinely monstrous, and I think that Nemesis totally falls for that.
Yes.
I think that he has potential for a bunch of cool moves that stem from the fact that he is mutated and can mutate. I think that the base design for Nemesis is incredibly freaky.
Yes.
Um, but in a Bayonetta type way, I think there's a way to capture a lot of that energy in a way that feels appropriate in a T-rated game but doesn't
Yeah.
lose its edge and still feels cool. Like I think that the base design of what Nemesis is can be cool while still censored. So like
Yes.
some of the things that seem particularly cool about him is his one super crazy arm.
Yeah.
How his arm can like mutate, have the tentacles and stuff come off of it
Yeah.
and like grow. The big eyes that can grow on the person. The fact that he does have a rocket launcher. So there is like ranged options. And the fact that there are multiple forms to Nemesis. And throughout the base game, he kind of evolves a lot. Um,
That's true.
one
That's
interesting
very true.
point is there's a little bit of the Sakurai angle when I say Nemesis, which is he's also a fighting game character. So he was in also Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh
And he was
yeah.
cool as hell there too. So I think that it can be interesting to see some of those comparisons of how a character is represented in a fighting game and how different games can represent the same character and both be true to the original vision while
Yeah.
both being very very distinct and different.
Yeah.
um so I think there's like a bunch of really cool options here when I'm thinking about like final smashes. Like one of the things that makes Nemesis particularly awesome to me is the stalker element in Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
How he's kind of always there, he's always coming, he's always around the corner. And I think that like having some kind of final smash that plays into that of like a character like running through hallways and him just like breaking down like walls and like chasing after you and like him always being around every corner could be like really really fun. And then the last thing, and I maybe have to look through the full roster again to see if this is 100% true, but having a horror game representative would be really
Yeah.
really cool. Like I think
That's
horror
where I'm
games are like
going
such
to.
a huge genre. Yeah, like horror games are such a huge genre, and like I feel like specifically horror game fans are some of the most impassioned
Yes.
of the game genre fan types.
Yes.
So like as a representative of the horror game, I like the idea that the character itself is also fairly horrific.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like us putting a genuine monster in the game, like seems really cool to me. I think there's a ton of potential here. I like Nemesis a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts on Nemesis are this: one,
Mm-hmm.
you've sold me on it pretty well because when you first brought it up, And as you could tell, it was such in the deep recesses of my brain, even though I do love Resident Evil,
Mm-hmm.
as you full well know, is
Yeah.
like when you just said Nemesis, I was like, what the? And like just because I'm looking at the smallest version of your share screen, I'm like, what the?
Mm-hmm.
What is he talking about? I'm like, oh God, duh, of course, of course.
Who even is this guy? Yeah.
To me, the only concern I have with Nemesis from a character angle
Mm-hmm.
is the Nemesis almost to me, it's a spiritual thing just for me. It almost brings up like it's kind of like violating the idea of the character with Nemesis playing in Smash in the
Hmm.
fact that the idea of Smash is you're constantly fighting and getting knocked out and having to come back and do it like and it's like it's almost weird in my brain to make that cross from Nemesis, the unkillable, Nemesis, the oh my god, can this thing please go away? I can't do
Mm-hmm.
this. To oh well, got knocked out by Mario quick, like green Mario.
I got forward aerialed by Mario and I
Yes,
got spiked into the
like Donkey Kong put on back. He threw on. He threw over. Like you're like that kind of
I think
sucks.
that is some of the wacky funness of what Smash Brothers is though. Like
Yeah.
I feel like Ridley fell in that category. I think Ganondorf falls in that category where it's like these are things that are supposed to be like almost almost insurmountable.
Yes.
Like they're supposed to be like absolute in their power. Actually, I have another character that's going to come up later that might be a fun conversation there too. But like, I think that's part of what makes Smash Brothers fun is like the when you think back to the original Smash Brothers, like having it be those hands that were controlling those dolls, and like, what if I could make these things fight each other?
Yep.
Like, I think that is something that like gets captured well there. Is that like even though Nemesis is this like super uber monster, really cool, crazy, over the top thing, um, when you're playing with dolls and just saying like what happens if like
Yeah.
Nemesis fights Link, like anything can happen, and I don't know, it's fun.
Yeah. No.
There's a fun silliness to what Smash Brothers is.
It is certainly a super fun thing to look
Yeah.
into and do. The other thing is this: we talked about this for a future show as well. There's a part of me
Hmm.
that wants Nemesis as a boss, not as a fighter, because I
Ooh,
think that would be
I'd
a.
go the other way.
But I definitely. Well, I would hope so if you are nominating him to be a
If I'm
fighter.
vouching for him, yeah.
Yeah, but like, there's part of me that also is like, I loved when they brought Rathalos in because even me, who knew nothing about
Super
Monster
cool.
Hunter, knew like that that was a big deal. I knew enough to go, oh, it's a big deal that Rathalos is in. And two, it just brought this like, what is this insurmountable beast kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I loved the idea. It was just a pain in the ass to deal with to a
Hmm.
degree. And then the Deku nuts are there, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not that big a deal.
Oh, this helps. Yeah.
But I just love that idea of the boss fights from Ultimate, and I just wish there were more. And I
Hmm.
love the idea of going for that horror element in that boss fight, where you're just like, I love the idea of like an old adventure, like melee style adventure, and the entire
Hmm.
time, just like slowly but surely as the adventure is continuing, Nemesis shows up, and just throughout you're like, "Are you kidding me? Leave me alone!" Like I almost think it's a better idea for that
But
than it is a
think about
fighter.
that. Hold up. You've created a concept in my mind.
I
Like
know.
imagine doing that like adventure mode thing where like the entire time that Nemesis is like haranguing you and following behind you and like intimidating you, and if at any point like you are able to get good enough or strong enough that you can beat Nemesis,
Yeah.
that is how you unlock him as a playable character. Like if at the very beginning of like the
Good.
adventure mode there's a level 10 Nemesis that is just always pursuing you, like that sounds sick. That would be such a imagine that feeling when you finally decide like
Yeah.
no, I can like oh that is Mewtwo times 10 kind of moment, man. Oh, that'd be so
Yeah.
good.
That kind of captures both of it. Oh God.
Yeah.
I also like I'm looking at one, we need to speed up for time again, like we always say, but two,
Oh yeah.
also we're gonna start like we're getting into the point where we need to stop doing the outside looking in and start doing like, no, they're in.
For me, Nemesis is in.
I know, and you're selling me hard. It's just like violating my brain's idea of what a Smash Bros. Character is. But I think that's a good thing in the show.
That's
Is
exactly why. Yeah.
is to do that. And I also was kind of like, I think Baba's a little too abstract. Whereas like Nemesis, I'm like, it's not as abstract as Baba. Like
Nemesis, Nemesis would be a concrete concept. Like,
yes,
and I think one of the big things I was trying to keep in mind when I was picking out the roster of characters was what are the spaces that are not being filled currently in
yeah,
Smash Brothers. And I think that Nemesis falls into that. Like, I think that he similar to like a Ridley, where Ridley was surprising because it was like, oh well, he's a boss, he's a monster, you can't do that. Like Nemesis does that too, but also captures the horror element, which is also something they haven't done. Like
yeah.
they have the assist trophy for what is the camera game?
Fatal Frame.
For Fatal Frame. Yeah. So like they've like done small touches into the horror element,
Yeah.
but not represented with a character. And that is what like also like it's a small thing. It's not a small thing, it's a huge thing. Resident Evil as a franchise is absolutely iconic.
Oh my god, yeah.
Absolutely iconic, absolutely incredible. Like it deserves to be in this game.
It was
And I
big. It
think
was
that
big
like
enough to get a horrible movie series, which shows you it's iconic as a game
yeah,
franchise, even though those movies are
exactly.
trash. Like, also, people of the internet, I really wanted to like this and didn't. But if you ever watch the newest live action one where they tried to say "Welcome to Raccoon City" and be a little bit more faithful to the games, don't. Uh, you don't need to do it. I couldn't even
You'll be
finish it.
fine.
I fell asleep during it. That should tell you something. And I want to finish it, but I'm like, I can't do it, man. I just can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, do it. Do it. Yeah, Nemesis is
Boom.
in. Yeah.
I don't know how I do it because that's not one that we have shared. So I don't have like
Okay,
a tier for
I'm
that.
keeping a record of all of your
You know,
options
I
here,
could do it here.
so don't worry about it.
Nemesis, and then Baba, and you've already got Mr. Chef on yours. So
Yeah.
Nemesis in
So
Baba.
in that spirit,
Where did Baba land?
outside looking in right now.
Okay, cool.
So in the spirit of keeping with that, also did technically
Yeah.
Leon get a spirit in
There are
Resident
Resident Evil spirits that came in on a spirit
That
board
doesn't even count.
at some point.
But yeah, I just remember
I
getting
don't think that
Leon.
counts in the same way.
It does not count the same way the other ones do. But it was just funny to me that I was
I
like,
think it's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember like, huh, Leon. So I'm gonna go straight to Leon. I'm gonna automatically, because of the Nemesis, say Leon is not it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to share
Okay.
this idea because it was fun.
Yeah.
Because I kept going back and forth between Leon and not Chris, actually Ethan from 7 and 8. But I just didn't know how to put that into character ideas. But I loved the idea of a final smash where the hands pop in, like the first person view that you get, and you just like mow something down to do damage, but then you also do the potion drop on the hands for the healing factor, and your damage goes down. I just kind of wanted to see that over like.
That's a fun idea.
I just kind of wanted to see that over like Pokemon Stadium or like Hyrule Castle, and like everyone's just kind of like getting mowed down by all these like absurd weapons, and then just over the top of all of it, almost Nintendo style, it just goes potion. Like,
see the hands overlay.
And it's just absurd, but I was like, that doesn't go with Leon. But I could understand if they put it in if Leon ever got in. But to me, if you're gonna pick like a Resident Evil character, not going the Nemesis route that you just sold me on, Leon to me had to be the guy, just because.
Yeah. If you were going to pick a human protagonist, Leon is the one to pick.
Because I think Chris is in too many bad games to be.
Yeah.
And Chris is almost like side character now, which is so crazy. Whereas like Leon, it's like 2 and 4. We're like, we got Leon, we're fine. And like he's technically in
which
6.
Are like 2 of the best.
But those are the 2 for me outside of but I love Biohazard, and Village is so good. I cannot wait for Resident Evil 9. Oh, I'm dying not with.
Sam. Actually, it's funny some of the stuff you mentioned there because it has settled for me who the next character I am going to show off is. So that's gonna be fun.
Okay, so I'm gonna quick move Leon in mine to the. I'm just because I don't want him in Nah because he's not Jonesy territory. He's
Huh,
gonna
I
be
guess you
in.
could do that.
Huh? I guess they could do that, especially after getting the
Yeah.
Nemesis in. But
Yep. I dig it.
I wanted to give Leon his pub, and I was gonna fight a lot harder for Leon until you made the Nemesis argument. Okay, my next one that I will pick to go with, kind of on the out there. It's going to be the opposite of Jonesy with the same idea of representing this. There's not a lot of arena like multiplayer games that are represented in Smash. So I
Mhm.
actually am going to go with Tracer from Overwatch.
Mm.
I'm not a big
Okay.
I know nothing about Overwatch except a few clips and things. I just think the
Mhm.
characters mean a little bit more in Overwatch for sure. She's definitely seems to be like the mascot specifically of Overwatch 2. I went and saw a
Mhm.
lot of her weapon arrangements and they work really well for a variety of damages as well.
Mhm.
And similar to your idea of the horror genre not being represented well, I just don't think those big, massive, like online player games, I don't think are
Mhm.
represented, and I think they're gonna have to eventually, which is why I was like, I'm gonna bring up Jonesy, but I don't want Jonesy. But I think Tracer
So
is a
real
better
quick
character element.
on that,
Yeah.
do we feel like Master Chief fills that void if Master Chief makes the
No,
cut?
no, because Master Chief is at least connected to three of the best games I've ever played, and
Mhm.
the multiplayer elements
Well.
that made the multiplayer elements that made Chief and Halo great were tied
Mhm.
to max 16 players, not like 100 like Fortnite or an Overwatch. You know what I'm saying?
So Overwatch isn't that.
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true. That's true.
Overwatch is like I think at most it's 8v8,
Oh yeah,
and
shit,
even
I forgot
then,
about that.
it might not be that. It might be 6v6 now.
I always forget that. I just
Overwatch.
mix it up all the time. But nonetheless, I just think
ONETA.
it's a cool character that I want to nominate with that style in mind.
Yeah, I would say I think Tracer's cool. I feel like there'd be a much better argument for Tracer before Overwatch 2 came out, because there's just been a lot of negative heat on Overwatch since then,
Yeah.
especially when they pulled Overwatch 1 down and were just like, hey, buy it again.
I
So
did read that a little
that,
bit.
yeah, like that's not necessarily like Tracer's fault. I think Tracer is like a cool character, a fun design. I think that the speedy zippiness of her
Yep.
could be pretty rad. There would probably be a little bit of overlap between her and Zero Suit Samus,
Yeah.
but I think Zero Suit Samus may have not made the cut for us.
No, because it
So
was
I
one of
feel
those
like
that we were gonna discuss in like improvements, augments, or something like this as well. So
yeah. So if that's the case, like I'm not mad at like Tracer being a consideration because I think she could fill in that space while also
let's.
being a new representative.
I'm gonna do this.
But
Let's do Tracer and
go
toss
for it.
up then.
Tracer and toss up.
Yeah, just
I'm
for
cool with that.
sake of ease, and I think we've, even though we can always say more, like we've kind of said it as well. And I
Yeah.
misunderstood the entire half my argument is dead because I misunderstood the game, which you can see there was a little bit of Johnny Microsoft with the dollar signs on that pick.
Yeah, a little bit of
But
Johnny
I
Microsoft
at
was
least
there.
like I'm intrigued enough by Tracer, where if Tracer was in the game, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Tracer's cool.
Whereas
Tracer's a
if
cool character.
it's just like you said, if Jonesy was in, I was like, you wasted one of my precious character slots for Jonesy. This
Yeah.
makes me just hate Fortnite even more than I already detest it. And I've never played Fortnite. That's just a solely I don't ever want to get involved in something like that. Versus like what I said last week about Fire Emblem, where I was like, I've never played it. I don't like it, but it was like I'm open to trying, and I want to like Fire Emblem. I don't want to like Fortnite.
I hear you on that.
So
A
go for it.
fun little detail to add because it's you mentioned Johnny Microsoft. She is also a part of Johnny Microsoft now,
That's yeah. Oh
which
yeah,
is
that's
pretty
true.
crazy.
Forget.
Pretty crazy.
Wait, they got Blizzard now, or what the what?
Yeah, they got Activision.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Microsoft's kind of just buying everybody up, aren't they?
Yep.
I was happy with the
Rich
Bethesda merger.
boys.
I was happy with the Bethesda merger simply because hopefully that brings me more Elder Scrolls content sooner rather than later. But
Probably not.
that was solely it. Also, it guaranteed that if a new Elder Scroll game came out and it was going to be purchased by another company, at least it was going to be on the console that I was going to own. So
um, so this next one, I'm realizing, can actually
go into my categories that I keep breaking.
no, absolutely not. I just had a funny realization that I make fucking stupid jokes, and I think this is my first big swear. So the next one on my list, is Alex from Half-Life Alex,
Okay.
and she's gonna go in the Glover category. So,
What?
I think that
What the fuck are you talking about right now, dude?
so I think that there's a really cool and creative idea here to capture the Half-Life audience, from like a long-standing PC history of, yes, there's some
Here,
Dr. Money in there.
I don't have cash, so I'll pull out the Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's worth more than money. That's worth more than its weight in gold, my friend. But we've got that's actually really goddamn funny. I think that the idea of trying to build a character that is meant to represent virtual reality is really interesting.
Okay.
When I was thinking about the implementation of the Alex character as a pair of floating hands and the arsenal and versatility that would come with that, I was thinking about some of the like character concepts people have done for things like Rayman, where Rayman is like a character that just has hands floating around him. I think that there are some really interesting ideas to do there, but I think that more than anything, it is the Half-Life universe adds so much in terms of like options of like really cool, really like out there stuff.
Okay.
Before I realized that the Half-Life Alex hands could go in the Glover category, they were originally going to go into the wacky and wild. The part that excites me is similar to Baba in terms of there are so many possibilities that come from representing virtual reality that it goes beyond what I can personally think of.
Sure.
And like I love that idea. I love that idea of like, what if there is a character that plays with the fact that like it knows that it is a representation of something in a real world. I don't know if what I said fully made sense.
No,
But like,
I kind of get it. I kind of get it.
yeah, like there are ways to like implement like the headset into like the character move set. There are ways to implement like the removing yourself from the world element of virtual reality. Like I'm imagining how you have your four taunts, like one of the four taunts being like when the player puts their controllers down on the ground and you just see like the hands just like and just lay limp on the floor. Like,
Interesting.
oh, that's a fun, silly little idea. But the thing that really sticks out to me is Half-Life universe, and virtual reality represented in Super Smash Brothers, because it's something that Nintendo has not messed around with at all yet,
No.
other than like the Labo stuff.
Yeah.
And the Labo stuff is entirely just like bolt on face.
Yeah.
This, I think part of what potentially excites me about it is if they were to do something like this, I think it also opens up a conversation about like, what if Nintendo were to get into VR? And that's such an exciting little realm of possibility.
Yeah.
That yeah.
It'd be a great tie-in if you were gonna go there,
Mm-hmm.
because then you could say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna take a VR style inspired character, and we're gonna put it in our biggest franchise of crossover gaming of all time," and go,
Yep.
"Okay." I could see the argument. It's a little abstract for me, but
I think
again,
that's fair.
I'm
It's a little abstract for me too.
I struggle with the abstract versus, like, you can see by half my list, it's a lot of mascots and things that I'm like, come on, come on,
Half the list being just fucking white dudes
come on.
with big weapons.
So, but I would go this. I think it's an outside looking in, and I think if I were
Okay.
gonna make a statement, I would say like I think definitely Baba or Alex gets in. I don't know if you could do both in a similar game because then it almost is like too
I think that's
many
fair.
crazy, abstract, unique things all at once where you're like, we're starting to break this game and we don't know how players are going to really respond to that. Let's try one character and then go from there. So,
I
alrighty.
would say I agree with the conclusion, but
Yeah,
not with the reasonings for why.
I understand.
Because I break the game.
No,
Always break the game.
you're always a
Games are
fan
more
of
interesting when you break them.
Yes, I'm well
Yes.
aware. That's why you love Gang Beasts because the game is broken. That's why I
Yay,
like Gang Beasts.
yay.
All right, where am I at here? Because I'm trying to get us to the rapid fire round, just because we said we're not going to go as long, and we're going long. Alrighty.
Yeah, we are going long. I need to take a quick break because I gotta fill my water and my throat is getting dry.
Okie dokie, my friend. I'm going to then pause this recording, and we'll see you guys in part 2.
Be back.
So as we get ready for our part 2, just remember, head over to the Etsy shop, ptcreative.etsy.com. Promo code BLISS. Use that on any order of 2 items or more. With promo code BLISS, you get 20% off your total order. We got cool stuff coming out. We got cool stuff already up there. We got shirts. We got stickers. We got all kinds of cool stuff. So use it to your advantage. Come on over to the Etsy shop. But yes, and you'll see us again in part 2, which will release simultaneously with part 1. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks.